The sound quality requirements of concert halls, various theaters, cinemas, multiple functional halls, classrooms, gymnasiums, etc. are different, and the main problems to be observed are also different. This should be handled flexibly according to the principles and methods mentioned above. At the same time, the acoustic design of the entire building as a whole should also take into account the influence of the attached rooms on the sound quality of the hall. For example, silent halls and corridors will make people feel like the sound quality of the auditorium is full. Halls and corridors with long reverberation time will affect people's perception of the fullness of the sound quality of the auditorium and give people a noisy impression. The performance seats and the auditorium of the concert hall are in the same place. There is no orchestra pit, there is no separated stage place, and most rely on natural sound. The sound quality requirements are the highest in all kinds of halls. The sound quality design should meet the following requirements. The first, with a long reverberation time, the sound field has sufficient fullness. If the reverberation time is shorter than 1.5 seconds, the music will be dry and thin. When the reverberation time is increased to 1.7 to 1.9 seconds, the music becomes active and powerful. No matter how long the reverb is, its note in the music will overshadow the next, and the rhythm of the music will be blurred. Therefore, the volume of each seat should be 8 to 10 cubic meter. At the same time, useless or no sound-absorbing material make the reverberation time of low frequency appropriately higher than that of mid-frequency to obtain a sense of warmth. The second, make full use of the earlier reflected sound to make it evenly distributed in the auditorium to ensure sufficient loudness and intimacy. Increase the lateral reflection to obtain a sense of surround. The third, ensure good diffusion. Classical halls use decorative components and new halls should use diffusers. The fifth, the audible noise standard is higher than other halls, and the noise evaluation index is below NR20. The size selection should be far away from the areas with high noise. The interior should be sound insulation, and the ventilation system should be sound absorbing and vibration absorbing. In addition, a sound control room needed to be set up to meet the needs of the sound reinforcement, broadcast, and recording. Theaters include opera halls, dramatic theaters, and drama theaters. There is a separated stage place, usually an orchestra pit and an electroacoustic system. The reverberation time of opera halls is slightly smaller than that of the concert hall, and the earlier reflected sound should be distributed evenly in the auditorium, and proper diffusion treatment should be done. The reverberation time of a drama theater can be as opera halls or slightly shorter than opera halls. Generally, the orchestra pit is not used, and the accompaniment is set on the side stage. The scale of the theater is smaller than that of the opera halls, and the reverberation time is as required by the language hall, and the shorter reverberation time is selected to ensure sufficient intelligibility and avoid echoes. The orchestra pit should not only maintain the balance of the voice of the various parts in the orchestra pit, but also not make the accompaniment in the orchestra pit heard in the auditorium overwhelm the voice of the actors on the stage. Therefore, it is necessary to select the appropriate expert ratio and adjust the shape and inclination of the roof above it. The electroacoustic system should not only enhance the loudness of the auditorium, but also control its volume without destroying the natural sense of direction, so that the audience can hardly feel its presence. Audible noise standard is NR20 or NR25. Cinemas include ordinary cinemas and stereo cinemas. The loudspeakers of ordinary theaters are arranged behind the screen, and the playback system is used, which requires that the theater hall can reproduce the sound effect, and the acoustic characteristics of the hall should not affect the playback effect. Since it is a playback system, there is no acoustic feedback problem, and the volume of the speaker can ensure sufficient loudness in the auditorium. Therefore, the reverberation time should be short. However, because the sound level of the front row and the rear row will be too difficult in a too-quiet hall, it is necessary to maintain a certain reverberation time to facilitate the uniformity of the sound field of the hall. The immediate frequency is about 1 second. Speakers of the studio cinema are arranged behind the screen, on the wall, and in the ceiling to form surround sound. In order to ensure the sense of direction of the speakers, the reverberation time should be shorter than that of ordinary theaters, and the immediate frequency should be about 0.7 seconds. The volume of each seat is 3 to 4 cubic meter. The length of the director should not exceed 40 meter, and any longer will make the audience in the back row feel like the sound is behind the screen and the sound level in the front row is too loud. The audible noise level of the auditorium is higher than that of the theater, which is NR25 or NR30. Sound insulation should be done between the projection room and the auditorium. The projection hall should be sealed with double-layer glass, and the inner surface should be sound-absorbing. The small stage near the screen need to be sound-absorbing, and the back wall should be given strong sound-absorbing treatment to avoid its reverberation time being longer than that of the auditorium. The purpose of the multiple-purpose hall include meetings, movies, drama, and musical performance, etc. There are stages and auditoriums, electroacoustic systems, and most of them have orchestral piece. Therefore, the main principle is to be suitable for electroacoustic sound reinforcement, and the reverberation time is short. By installing an adjustable reverberation device, it can be adapted to different functions. Wearable reverberation devices include both electroacoustic and architectural designs. The method of changing the reverberation time of the building is to make part of the ceiling or wall in the hall into a movable structure that reflects one side and absorbs sound on the other side, and expose the reflecting surface or the sound-absorbing surface as needed. Specific forms include rotating, opening and closing, suspension, curtain, lower, and so on. Since the sound absorption of the audience accounts for the largest proportion of the total sound absorption of the hall, and all interface cannot be made active, it is difficult to change the amount of this measured by more than 10%. The movable stage reflector is used in combination with the wearable reverberation device in the hall, which can change the reverberation time of the hall by up to 20%. The sound quality design requirements of classroom are made to ensure language intelligibility. Small classrooms should prevent the reverberation time from being too long, and it should be less than 0.6 seconds. Large classrooms should be properly set up with reflecting surface to make full use of the primary reflected sound to ensure sufficient sound level. The reverberation time of a classroom with 500 people should not be exceed 1 second. The volume of each seat should not be greater than 3 to 3.5 cubic meter. For classrooms using electroacoustic systems, the reverberation time should be shorter, and the sound absorption should be done on the ceiling and back wall. To ensure intelligibility, the audible noise level does not exceed NR25. In order to avoid interference from adjacent classrooms, partition walls require sufficient sound insulation. Corridors, hallways, and stairwells should be sound-absorbing to avoid excessive reverberation time. Gymnasiums include track and field gyms, gymnasiums, swimming pools, and comprehensive gyms. The sound field conditions are quite different from the auditorium mentioned above. The main factors are the first, large volume, large audience, and high noise. The venue is large and open, the ceiling is high, the seats are hard, and the sound absorption is small. The second, the roof span is large and the concave surface is often used, which is easy to generate multiple echoes. The third, a variety of functions often double as a venue, performance venue, etc. The sound quality design requirements of the simulation mainly include: the first, let the audience hear the broadcast content clearly. The second, let the athletes hear the command in time and accurately. The third, let the athletes and audience hear the accompanying music. The fourth, when used as a theatrical performance, it has sound quality suitable for this performance. The key points of the sound quality design of the gymnasium are: the first, prevent multiple reflections between the ceiling and the venue. The second, control the reverberation time. Gymnasiums with meeting requirements should be controlled within 2 seconds. These two are mainly realized by the sound-absorbing ceiling and the space sound-absorbing body, and the side walls are also sound-absorbing as much as possible. The third, set up the sound reinforcement system with strong directivity. Due to the higher noise and longer reverberation time, the sound level of sound reinforcement is higher than that of general auditoriums, and the requirements for directivity are also higher. The first, the audible noise level is NR35 during performance and NR45 during sports competitions. Air conditioners need noise reduction and vibration reduction. Both the lecture hall and the trial hall require high language intelligibility for indoor sound quality. The language sound source may come from different parts of the hall, and the sound source itself requires good listening conditions. Therefore, the reverberation time is required to be short and no echo interference. Due to the need for recording, it is recorded to set up sound reinforcement and recording equipment. Due to the high floor height, there is a big concentration with the volume of 2.3 to 4.3 cubic meter per seat, according to the sound quality requirements, and the number of the audience seats varies greatly, resulting in unstable audience sound absorption. Therefore, the body shape should be greatly controlled to prevent reflected sound from the rear wall or sound focusing caused by the curved wall. Compress the indoor volume as much as possible. The ceiling is treated with reflection and diffusion, and the rear and side walls are arranged with sound-absorbing materials. Raise the sound source and the ground rise. Opt for sofa-scale seating with carpet outside the seating area. The functional room with high indoor sound quality requirements mainly include recording studio, broadcasting room, studio, etc. The acoustic laboratory mainly include reverberation room, anechoic room, semi-anechoic room, and sound insulation room. You can learn the sound quality design requirements of the above-mentioned room by yourself, and you can also look at the relevant engineering examples and observe them in the actual building.